welcome everybody to our orientation on the Community Data Program. So my name's Mary. I'm part of the Community Data Program team, and I'll be hosting today along with my colleague Mike, who you've already heard from a little bit as we get going here. So this presentation is meant to provide an overview of the program. So we're going to cover today, we're going to talk about overall what is the Community Data Program. We're going to talk about the data sets that are available in the program. We're going to talk about what members have done with the data. We have a few examples for you to show you that. Then we're going to jump over to the website, and I'm going to share my screen with you and just take you on a bit of a tour. So we're going to show you communitydata.ca. I'm going to show you how to find the data, and I'm also going to show you on the website the different resources we have available to you. And then I'm going to pass the screen over to Mike, and Mike is going to show you an example of how you would actually find a table, download it through the catalog, open it up, and manipulate it a little bit using Statistics Canada software beyond 2020. Okay, so at any point during the presentation, if you have any questions for us, either technical or about the program, please use the chat box on your screen. Mike and I can both see it as we go, and we can address those questions along the way. So we're going to get to what is a Community Data Program. We have a question about whether the presentation will be saved. Yes, we're going to record we'll record this whole presentation, and so it'll be available later to you as well as the slides themselves. So the history of the Community Data Program. The program itself was created to track poverty at the neighborhood level. So it's a way that we share the cost of buying small area geographies, data for small area geographies from federal sources such as Statistics Canada, as well as some other private sector sources. The CDP is unique and exclusive in Canada because it provides custom socioeconomic data, and it provides it for the national level. Members use the data to analyze and report on socioeconomic trends in their communities. And the CDP is a unique and exclusive program, and it enhances the data capacity of members, and it connects them to a national network of data users and researchers. So we started way back in the 1990s with the Canadian Council on Social Development, and now we're being administered within the Canadian Community Economic Development Network. So we operate on a consortium model. So membership is made up of each local consortium. The consortium is a legal group of organizations focused on the implementation of a public service goal. Okay, consortium is created for each local region, and it has a designated lead person. So for example, there's one in Winnipeg, and then there's a different one for Vancouver. Members of the consortium are local organizations, and users of the program are people who work in those organizations. So you have to be part of a consortium to be part of the Community Data Program. And the consortia from across Canada come together, and they acquire data, and they function as community development entities. Just gives you an idea. All these dots represent the different consortiums that right now exist throughout Canada. So if there is one for where you are, I think most of you are likely members already and just looking to engage with the program. If you are brand new and you're not yet a member of the program, if you don't see your region, we can actually create a new consortium with you. Give you an example of different members that exist within the consortia. So we have municipal governments, we have local United Way chapters, community health centers, social planning councils, things like school boards, immigration services, and economic development agencies. So this just gives you an idea of who else is also involved, because this is part of this data network that you have access to through the program. So right now we actually have over 30 different consortia, and that includes 350 organizations that are involved. So those are our different members. And then we also have over 1,500 people who are registered users. So that means there's 1,500 people who are registered on our website who can go in and download and use the data. So overall, the point of the Community Data Program is to help monitor and report on trends in your communities, to acquire customized data, to reduce the overall cost of buying data by sharing those costs with our whole network, by building capacity to do more with the data through training and tools offered through this program and by learning from colleagues across the country. We also advocate for community level data. So as a member and a user of the program, you get direct access to web-based customized community data, and we're going to be showing you that today. You get data analysis tools and training to build capacity to make use of the data. This can be very valuable because while you might have access to the data, if you don't have the capacity to do anything with it or transform it into the stories and to show the evidence of what's happening in your communities, you can't really make it that valuable to your organization. So we have those tools and training to accompany the data. And then we also have networking between our members, and this includes the national network, so you can hear from what your colleagues are doing across the country, as well as teleconferences and annual face-to-face events. So I'm just going to talk briefly as an overview of what's available in the program for actual data. Please let me know if you have any specific questions about data that you're looking for, and we can get into that when we show you the catalog itself online. So in order to find information for smaller areas, such as the population of local neighborhoods, we need to order data from Stats Canada, and there's a cost to cover the staff time for preparing this data. So broadly speaking, the data we're bringing in is for the smallest area possible before privacy becomes a concern. So this means there's always sub-provincial, lower and upper tier municipalities, and when possible, neighborhood and block areas. We obtain custom data from Stats Canada that include both custom cross-tabulations or data that includes unique combinations of variables. We also order the data for neighborhood boundaries that are created by our members. Often the communities and neighborhoods we recognize in our cities don't perfectly match how Stats Canada breaks them down for census collection. So the free data that Stats Canada provides on its website doesn't tell the right story of how your neighborhoods are doing. So the custom boundaries can actually help to provide data for the exact neighborhoods as you recognize them in your community. And alongside the data, we also provide tools that support analysis, reporting, and visualization of the data. When it's really helpful for our members, we also provide links to the open or free data to make sure that you know what else is available and that can complement the program of data. So the program still focuses on data to monitor socio and economic trends. So we order data tables on the following topics. We look at housing, health, cultural identity. So this includes things like immigration, visible minorities, Aboriginal origin. We have demographics, education, crime, work, finances, and income. From the Census and National Household Survey, we order both the standard tables and custom geographies for community profiles. So these are essentially a summary of all the questions posed by the census. We get the target group files. And so a target group file is a profile for a specific demographic group. So for example, like all of recent immigrants or seniors or low-income populations. We order the T1 family file. So this is data that comes from annual personal income tax files. We order the standard postal geographies as well as some census geographies for all tables coming out of the T1FF. The standard tables include the family data, individual data, seniors data, financial data, and charitable donations and migrations. Okay, and then we also order some custom tabulations, such as our tables on income inequality and working poverty. So other small area data we order include Canadian business patterns, credit report characteristics, permanent residence data cube, and building permits. And the small area tools include the postal code conversion file, which is always very popular for their members. So there's a few questions coming into our chat box specifically on the data. And Mike, I'm going to ask you to answer those directly into the chat box, I believe, is the easiest way to do that. So I'm just going to give you a few examples of what the other members have done with the data, and then we're going to move on to the website. Oh, our formatting's off a little bit here. That's okay. So this is done by the City of Calgary, who's been a longtime member of ours. And this is a helpful infographic that summarizes the 2016 census findings for the Calgary CMA. So it presents data on population, income, diversity, employment, commute, and education. So it's a great resource for Calgary-based groups, educators, and employers, and it provides a helpful vision of how to visualize census data for your community. So this is one example of somebody using the census data and presenting it, transforming it into a format that the community can use. So this is a report card done by the Wellington Dufferin Guelph Public Health. And so these are report cards on the well-being of children. So this is actually from a data portal, and it's an online reporting tool that allows you to go and explore and download data characterized into 5 domains. So it includes data on education, health, living environment, safety, and social relationships. So this is all data that's coming out of the community data program that WDG is transforming into a portal that their community can then access and view the data easily. Oh, sorry. Report cards are done by Wellington Dufferin Guelph Report Card Coalition, not Public Health. Thank you, Jude. All right, and this is a project from Simcoe Muskoka. So Health Stats is a section of the Simcoe Muskoka District Public Health Unit's website, and it's dedicated to communicating data to internal users, community partners, and to the general public. So these pages provide information on key health indicators, trends, and municipal level data. In many cases, this information is used to help plan services to improve the health of their community. Their low-income focus report offers a clear picture of who lives in low-income in Simcoe Muskoka and the ramifications of living in low income, particularly on health, and some suggestions on creating communities where everyone is able to afford the basics of life and enjoy the chance to be healthy. The report was shared with nearly 70 community and provincial partners. Data for these health stats comes from the T1 family file and the National Household Survey Community Poverty Project tables. Okay, so these are tables that are unique to our program. So these are 3 examples of sort of the end results of what our members have done with the data in order to get it out and get the messages out and in a format their communities can use them. I'm just double checking our questions. Okay, so Mike is still addressing specific data questions in the chat blocks. Please keep writing into there. We can get the information coming through the chat box, all of the notes we can have available to you after the presentation as well. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to flip over and I'm going to show you the community data website. Give me a minute. This always takes a second to get over. Okay, so can everybody now see the community data website up in front of them? Okay, great. So this is the main access point for all the data. It's all online and it's all formulated, it's all prepared to enter, or sorry, it's all available through our online catalog. This is how you're going to actually get the data, okay? So I'm going to give you just a brief introduction to it, and I'll show you where you can find different resources, and then show you our data search, and then Mike is actually going to take you in and show you an example of downloading it. Okay, so communitydata.ca. When you come into the website, you're going to see the top toolbar. So this is the main homepage. We have information about the program. So this is more details about how to be a member, the governance of the program, as well as some working groups. We have a resources tab. So this is where you're going to find more specific resources on what you can do with the data and how to use the data. Okay, I'm going to go through a couple of these very specifically at, towards the end of my bit here. This is where you would find any news. So this includes community news coming out of the community data program, as well as any links to news that we think is important for you to know about what's happening with data. This lovely green button up here is going to become your most clicked on bit of this website. This is where you're going to actually get to the data catalog. So that nice big green button at the top, hopefully we've made it very eye-catching for you, because that's, once you get comfortable, that's where you're going to be most of your time on the website. My account, this is how you're going to sign up if you are a new user to the program or you're logging in. You're going to click on my account, and that's going to bring you to that information. The join, this is for brand new people to the program, and this link to SEDNet is for our host organization if you want to check out their website and see what they're up to as well. If you scroll down on our homepage, you're going to see the community data news. So this is news that's coming out of our program, as well as news that is happening in the data community that we would like you to know about, that we think is important. So that will run in this toolbar. We also have a list of, these are the new tables coming into the program. So these are really helpful if you're looking for what's new, or if you're waiting for a table to arrive. This is where you can see what's newly been added into the catalog. We also have a few resources down here, a link to our webinars, a video on how to find data in the catalog. And so if you're just looking for a very quick short refresher, then it's there. This is also a quick link to our resources on COVID-19. And I'm going to get into those in a few minutes. So that's another way to find that. We also have a really short introduction video into the program. So if you want to play something later, or for a colleague, this is a nice video that you can use. It's only a few minutes long. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you the catalog, and then we're going to talk about the resources a little bit. So if you, at the top, you're going to click on this Find Data program, or Find Data. And this is our community data program. So if you scroll down, you're going to see a list of all the data files, all the data tables. And at the very top, in this nice bright green area, these are all your search options. So you can search by topic, and if you click in this box, you're actually going to see some topics come up. And you can scroll down and pick something. So I thought somebody was looking for data on children and youth and families. And so if we click on children and youth, it will populate that box there. Same thing with product group. It does give you some options of things you can click. So if you're looking for very specific tables, this might be the best way for you to come in and find it. So for example, if you're looking for that T1 family file and you want to see something about families, then you're going to click on that, and that will populate as well. Data provider, so this is whoever the data is coming from. So if you're looking for something specific from Stats Canada, or maybe Canada Mortgage and Housing Corporation, you can click on that there. And those will all. If you have too many of them, you're going to end up with very little data. So start slow, and if you need to narrow down as you go. Product title, you can actually write something in here and type something in here. This is only a good idea if you know the exact product title you're looking for. Okay, so if there's a very specific table that you know is in here that you're looking for, that way you can search that way. If you click on the geographies, of course, it's going to give you the different levels of geography. So if you need something by census division, you can come in and click on census division, and that's going to limit the table that way. Years within the data, so if you know you're looking for 2016 census data, you can write in 2016 there. Or if you need that T1 family file and you need it for 2015, you can write it in there. Okay. So if I'm looking for children and youth for 2015 and I apply that filter, and then I can look down here. So you can see everything is for 2015. And it's going to give you the title of the tables that are available. Okay, so that's a brief introduction to the Find Data catalog. I'm going to have Mike actually click on one of these tables and show you how to download it and open it in Beyond 2020 in a few minutes. But before we do that, I do want to draw your attention to a couple of our resources. So go back up to the top and click on that resources button. Webinars, this is where we link to all of our webinars that we do, just like this orientation. And we do a certain number of topics over the year. We always do at least 6. Some of them are program orientations like this to just help you get into the program. If you haven't been in the program for a year or so and you want that refresher, you can join us again, no problem. We have webinars on specific product profiles. So these are specific tables that we're looking at that we know are of interest that we highlight and talk about. We talk about different analytical tools, and so this is sharing usually from a partner that we're working with, and they will share how they've used a tool to use the community data, program data, so that they are able to do work with it. So those are usually from our partners, and you are, as a member, invited to any and all of those webinars, and that's a really great way of networking. They're usually about an hour to an hour and a half, and always have a discussion time. The other one I want to talk to you about today is under resources. There's a title called How to Find and Use Your Data. And if you click on that, you're going to find some resources that are going to just help you get at the data. One of my favorite things is a very basic list of all of our tables that we have. So within that, how to find and use data, if you click on how to find data, we have this list of all data tables in the catalog. All this is a printed out or a produced list in Excel with all the data tables. So if you are comfortable in Excel, all this is going to do is produce you a nice big list, and you can look through it and you can find it and you can sort it, and it might give you a really good overall view of all the different tables you can look at. And it's just going to be easier. If you're comfortable in Excel, it's going to be maybe easier for you to start with than with the catalog function. And it, and then it just lets you work with it as you like. And so I think this is a really great, it's very simple, but it's a great list of tables for you. The other thing is something very similar. It's also an Excel file, but this data index for data by theme search. So this is the same thing. It's an Excel file, but it has all of the tables marked out by themes. So for example, those of you coming, I know we have people on the call looking at immigration, and we also have people looking at families and children and youth. You can actually select those themes and just see a very simple list of all the tables that fall within that theme. And so that can be a very nice way of understanding what is available to you. And then you can come back into the catalog and you can find those tables and download them. I have a question about whether you can search these Excel files. Yes, so it's going to produce a basic Excel file. So within that, all you have to do is press Control F, and you'll be able to find whatever it is you're looking for within those tables. All right, the last resource I want to point you to, which I think is going to be top of mind for everybody right now, even those for you coming brand new into the program, we have recently created what we're calling the COVID-19 Community Data Resources Portal. So what we're trying to do is get all the information that we think is really helpful and important for you to help you monitor and report on COVID-19 community vulnerability reporting and monitoring. So a couple of things that are in here. We have a news section. So these are key news articles on what's happening with data surrounding COVID-19. We have a list of the epidemiological data centers. So these are places where you can go and find data and see how people are using data to track what's happening in communities related to COVID-19. I want to draw your attention to, if you go farther down the list, we do have the provincial health units and their dashboards for reporting. And as you come down, you're going to see actual partners of yours. So this is people who are members in our network and what they're doing and how they're using their own city dashboards. So we have the City of Toronto, Region Appeal, the Simcoe Muskoka. Remember, we already saw those the reporting from them in our presentation. And so they've got a dashboard. So these are organizations that mostly already had dashboards going, and they've adapted them and they've added information specific to COVID-19. These are great examples if you want to see what your colleagues are doing and how to use community data to actually track vulnerability of populations related to COVID-19. Now, hopefully this is very interesting to most of you. If you go farther down, we have the COVID-19 community vulnerability monitoring resources in the CDP catalog. So this is a list of all the resources that we can think of listed out for you that are in the catalog right now. So just by clicking through these things, you're going to be able to go and find these. It also gives you an overall sort of picture of the tables that you could use to actually create a story or an image of what's happening in your community. Okay, you don't have to log in to see this portal. Okay, so this this resource on COVID-19, you don't have to be a member to view. We wanted to make it as accessible to you folks as possible. But certainly if you wanted to download any of the tables, you would need to be logged in to the website. And you can continue to scroll down, and we've added other resources that we think might be useful to you that you can check out and have a look at as well. One of the things that's really nice about our website is that it's quite dynamic, and we're able to change and edit and respond to what's happening. And so over the next few months and years, likely this COVID-19 Community Data Resources Portal will be changing, and we'll be getting different, we'll be adding different data and different news articles and resources as they appear to us and as they come to us. And so we'll be adding more here. The other thing that we're working on is putting together a monitoring tool. And so this will actually include some infographics and some maps to help around the reporting and monitoring of vulnerable communities in COVID-19. And so this will all come out within this portal. We think that the infographics and map are going to be really helpful for those of you with more modest and low capacity to work with data and moderate capacity to work with data. You might not have all the chance to do the analytical work. And so within this portal, you're going to start seeing some infographics where the data is already put together for you. And the sort of the profile of the communities is already laid out. And so you'll be able to use those hopefully within your work as well. I will also bring up briefly the immigration data portal. So if you go into our resources tab and you click on immigration data portal, this is a similar portal. It's loaded up with all the links to finding immigration data on our website. This is specific for our partnership with the immigration, local immigration partnership. And so that's where you would find your contacts and information if you're looking for that specific portal, because I know we have people involved in immigration on our call. So that's all I want to get into. If we have any questions on the resources that are available on the website, please go ahead and type them in the box. I can see Mike continuing to respond to specific data questions, so that's great. So please feel free to keep typing those in. If there's nothing else, I'm actually going to pass it back over to Mike.
Thanks, Mary. You can hear me? You can hear me fine?
I can, yeah. Hang on, Mike. I will stop. Do you want to share your screen? It might be the easiest thing to do, and then you'll be able to, yeah, that's what we're going to do.
Sure.
So Mike is going to take us back into the catalog, and he's going to download a table for you.
So I'll keep trying to check in and see what some of the comments are coming up in the chat.
Mike, I'll watch
but it's a bit difficult to look at both.
Watch the chat box for you and draw your attention to questions as they come in.
Perfect. Yeah, so someone had noted when they're looking for data sets that they have to do multiple searches, and it's it's true. I would suggest when you're looking through the catalog for something that you start sort of with as broad a search as possible. You don't want to limit your search. I typically recommend going to the product group to define what you're looking for and narrowing down from there. So if you know you want tax filer data or something from the census or Canadian business counts and the like, that would be what I would recommend. If we are going to show how
Mike,
to
we have a
download a
question.
table, I saw some questions.
Mike,
Yep,
there's a question about ordering. There's a question about ordering custom geographies and how that works.
Yeah, that might be best to answer offline. You can write us. I know somebody else had asked about the contact person. Best place would be to write information@communitydata.ca, and I get that email as well as someone else. It's fairly simple, actually. I guess you really just need to send us some shapefiles for the custom geographies that you're interested in. We send it to Statistics Canada, and there's a bit of back and forth that I can describe. So look and see what we have in the topic of labor force. Okay, some of this is, I think what we want is labor. But we can use this. We can use this data set as well. When you found a data set that you're interested in, click on it here. I encourage everyone as much as possible to read through the catalog entry. It may have some answers to your questions already even before you open the table. You can also, the list of dimensions here is important to know to help you understand what is contained in the table. So I'll use this terminology that a dimension is sort of a set of variables. So just to distinguish between a variable and a dimension. So for example, you might have a sex dimension, which is made up of the variables total, male, and female, or an age groups dimension, which is made up of a number of sets of age groups. So here we've got labor force status, and it's telling us that there are 8 variables in it, in this dimension. We can click on it and see what those variables are. And so these are going to be counts of the total amount of people that they're looking that is considered in the universe of the data table, the amount in the labor force, the number of employed, unemployed, and it includes some statistics as well. The participation rate and employment rate by percent. And similarly, you can look and check and see what's contained in some of the other dimensions, and that may help you to decide whether you want to download the table or not. And when you decide that you do want to download the table, then you choose your geographies. Not all tables have a choice of geographies to download, but in this case, you can download data at the province or territory level. This is province, territories, census division, and census subdivision. Census division is essentially a region or a county. Census subdivision is a municipality. And then you can download at the census metropolitan area, census agglomeration, or census tract. If you need an explanation of these terms, you can find them on Statistics Canada, or you type in the box that you'd like an explanation, and I can provide one. Aggregate dissemination area is another geography that's offered, and this table is offered at Custom Geos. And so, related to the question that was asked, we don't acquire all of our tables at Custom Geographies. We acquire a limited number of very well used tables at Custom Geographies for members who have submitted custom geographies for geocoding. So let's say I'm interested in seeing these data at the census subdivision level. I would add that to the cart. And so we are looking to update our website sometime in the future, but for now, this is really the best method that we have for offering these data tables and keeping track of what people are downloading. It's an online shopping cart, and it's not ideal, but it's what works best for now. So once you've chosen the file that you're interested in, you can check out, or you can continue shopping for another table, and then it will all be added into this list here. But let's just take this table and quote unquote check out. You'll notice everything only costs $0. Submit my order. And then I'm brought here to my list of file downloads. And here at the top of the list is the table that I'm interested in. And you can click on this download link in order to download it. Before I do that, a question that frequently comes up, unfortunately this table is sorted by the first time that you downloaded it. So let's say you were interested in the migration estimates table, and you had already downloaded it back in September of 2019, but you forgot about it and you downloaded it again. It's not going to appear at the top of your list. It is going to stay down here, and that's simply because you've already downloaded it. It doesn't get bumped up here. I get a number of questions about that. So let's just click on the table, on the link to download the table. I'll just put it in this folder. I don't know if anyone, I don't think we mentioned at the beginning of this webinar, we have, at last count that I saw, there are around 90 people online. I would not recommend that you all go to the website right now, simply because our website can't handle that kind of traffic all at once.
Yeah, I forgot to mention that.
Perhaps
Mike.
It also would have been good.
Mike, we did have a question about
No worry.
the geography, the aggregated dissemination areas, or ADAs. Is that our own agglomeration, or is it a standard StatsCan grouping?
That's standard. That's a new. It's a new geographic level. It's larger than the dissemination area, but it's still sort of it's a sub-municipal geography that covers the entire country. And the intention was to be able to provide a small scale geographic level that would have limited suppression, because dissemination area also covers the entire country. That's the smallest geographic level for which data are published from Statistics Canada, besides dissemination block, which only has household counts and population counts. But dissemination area has data counts, but it frequently has suppressed data because the counts are too low. So aggregate dissemination area was created and should hopefully be of some use to rural areas which don't have, which aren't tracked, don't have census tracts to get at, to be able to get a picture of what's happening within a city or within a town. So things have stopped downloading. Again, you can also note, as maybe I should have, that you see the file size, can tell you how long it'll take to download, what you're looking for. And then you've got the file here, which indicates the last three letters at the smallest level of geography census subdivision. If we have any other documentation, you'll typically find it in the file in the zipped file package here. I would encourage you to read any documents that you find in the file package. So we'll open this up. Oh, I'm sure you can complete it. It might get you thinking. There we go. I think it's just because I tried to open it twice. So I think I'm happy to go back and review using the catalog. That just covers the basics of what you need to know. Right now, I'll go quickly through a demonstration of how to use Beyond 2020. There's a number of people who are new to the program, then it's important to know how to use this software. We get a lot of our tables in IVT format, which is opened by the software Beyond 2020, which looks like this. And we do that because it would be quite unwieldy and fairly expensive to get all these tables in a flat form. So this table has a number of dimensions, but we can set it up so that we're just looking at the table as a flat file with at a minimum of 2 dimensions at a time, but you can start adding more dimensions to this table, and I'll show you how to do that. So this is just the default view that you see. They've put immigration status here in the row headings and labor force status here in the column headings. But you can see there's other dimensions up at the top. So we have geography that right now it's showing data for all of Canada, age groups, educational attainment, and admission category. Now these dimensions up at the top are acting as a type of filter for this data table. So right now you're seeing essentially all the totals. It's showing for all of Canada, it's showing for the total for all the age groups, the total counts for all educational attainment, and the total counts for admission. But we can change that. We can bring some of these dimensions down into the table, and we can also filter at the top so that the data being shown in the table is filtered for a particular variable. First, I'll just show you how to do some basic manipulation in Beyond 2020. A lot of it's just clicking to drag and drop. It's not a particularly intuitive software, but it really doesn't take that long to learn how to use. We have resources on our website, both some videos and some PDF documents that you can follow, but hopefully this will be enough to get you started. I can start by switching the rows and columns. I grab the labor force dimension and I bring it over to the rows. You'll see it's highlighted, and when I let go, then labor force is dropped here, and by default, immigration jumps to where the labor force dimension was. You can just move things back and forth. You can also bring dimensions down. So I'm looking for a particular geography. I'm going to grab the geography dimension. I find it's always easier to read items, variables in the row section, so I bring it here and drop it. Labor force is now jumped up to the top, and all of the geographies are shown for me here. You can do that with all the other dimensions, and you can see whatever dimension was there gets bumped back up to the top. I can put admission category here, third admission there, and you play around with it to make the table look how you want it. As a note, I'm not going to do any calculations. I'm not really going to do any data manipulations in Beyond 2020, except to make the table that I want. And when I'm done, you can go to File, Save As, and then you have some file formats you can save it in. You can tell from this interface that this was developed probably in the late 90s and hasn't been touched since. You've got some choices for what to save it as. Look, they even have DBase here, worksheet. So the Excel worksheet is in XLS format, so that it's not the most current Excel format. I usually just recommend using a CSV, particularly if you have a large table, because the old Excel format has a limit in the number of rows. You want to save something as a CSV. And then there's this to navigate. They always start you out in some obscure directory. My recommendation is just to go up as high as you can. Either find a drive that you know if you're working off a network drive, you might see it there, and that might make it easy to find a folder for you. But you don't want to save things in System32. Go up to the very top and just start looking. I look for users. There I am, Michael Deiter. Going to find, there's my son's Brawlhalla folder, documents, and now I see things that I recognize. And then you can save your file with a file name that you recognize. I won't do that now. So that was a bit of a segue from showing you what happens after you've manipulated the table to appear how you want it, showing you how to grab dimensions and move them around. Each dimension is going to have, not actually each, some dimensions will have a little information bubble that can provide some good information for you. But what may be interesting to do is to start stacking dimensions. You want to know labor force status by age group. So I've got age group here, I can take labor force status, bring it to the table, and instead of putting it like this, if I drop it just below, you can see it creates a line there. Same thing if I do it above, put it there and let go. And now the table is cross-tabulated by age groups and by labor force status. And you can keep doing this, although it's going to start to get, as you can imagine, a bit unwieldy. But you can start cutting down the table to find what we're interested in. So let's say we're interested in total and age group 15 to 24. If we want to start to cut down this table to make it a little bit more manageable, I can highlight the variables that I'm interested, right-click, and hit Show. And now it's gotten rid of everything else. I right-click again and hit Show All, and it all comes back. Alternatively, I could select all of these, right-click, and hit Hide, and they're gone. Now, let's say for labor force, we're interested in how the youth are doing, 15 to 24. Maybe we don't actually need total. Let's get rid of them as well. And we're interested in knowing the those in the labor force and who's unemployed, just in case unemployed divided by in the labor force should give us the unemployment rate, but maybe we want the numbers. So let's look at those. The tables starting to look a little more manageable. So you want to find your geography now. You can, if you like, scroll down. That is always a possibility. But the search function is located here or under the dimension menu. Search. A couple things to note about this. Take note of the type of selection that you are using when you're searching. Right now, it's indicating that the selection will be reduced. based on the search, which is what you want. It's going to cut out everything in the geography dimension except those things that match my search criteria. So we're looking for, I live in Montreal. So let me go to, I would go to the English description and type Montreal. And let's say I'm interested in the city of Montreal. Or let's just do the entire island. Let's do both. I might select both of these and select show. For the island, and this is for the city. And set things up. This is, say, if we wanted to look and see how compare youth unemployment in Montreal based on your period of immigration. I guess one thing I should have shown here while we're looking at the geography dimension. The geography dimension in particular is going to have several labels. So we were looking at the name. I searched by the English description, but there are other labels that are attached to this dimension. And you can look at them by selecting next label. So this looks like the global non-response rate, which indicates how many people did not respond to the survey. This is the geographic level. It's indicating that this is a census subdivision. This is for census division. This is indicating the census division that this is located in. This is the census subdivision. So I have to know this is the census subdivision for Montreal, I guess. Anything, it's located in the census division 2466, which is the island of Montreal. So, and any census subdivisions located within that are also going to start 2466. It can sometimes help to learn a bit about the StatsCan geography codes. Quebec is 24, Ontario is 35, so everything in Ontario begins with 35. I won't name them all for the entire country. But this can help you to look for the geography that you're interested in. So let's say I'm just interested in the island of Montreal. Now I can take this and bring it up to the top. And now this is looking at it's cross-tabulated by immigration status, age group, labor force, and education. It's maybe a little bit too busy. I would take period of immigration, put it down here, and let's get rid of education. And so I grab it and I bring it up to the top. And so this is indicating the island of Montreal, how many youth are in the labor force and how many are unemployed. And you can see that right now, it's showing us values for Montreal. But as I indicated before, these dimensions at the top can also be used as filters. If I click on this, you can see that it indicates I'm working with the geography dimension. And I can change the dimension by, I should be able to say, oh, I can't because I filtered it all out. So I can show all of them, bring this back up. And now the data are being filtered for Westmount, Montreal West, St. Luc. Let's stick with the city of Montreal, let's say, for now. And you can do the same with any of these other dimensions. This is going through, this is the data for economic immigrants, for principal applicants. This is a principal applicants, sorry, this is principal applicants is a subcategory of economic immigrants, secondary applicants. These are the various possibilities. You can filter the table, sorry, you can filter the table for these variables. And that's essentially how you would build your table here. I guess I can continue to show one more thing, say with the search. You can see this is telling you the geographic level you can search for, the UID, what census division it's located in. So let's look again just for Montreal, and it's going to reduce the selection. So it's found these geographies. I'm interested in just Montreal. Now I'm interested in adding Toronto to this. Select the English description. In Toronto, I need to expand the selection. I think if I look for this, it doesn't find it because I've filtered out Toronto from the geography dimension. But if I expand the selection, then it can find it like that. I think that's most of what you need to know about searching. Displaying the active dimension can sometimes be useful just to see what information is included. Here I am looking at the geography dimension. That sums up most of what you would need to know with Beyond 2020. Again, we have more resources on our website. Language, sorry, that's another. All of the tables that we receive are in IVT format from Statistics Canada, are published in both French and English. And then you would take this and save it as a CSV and change the name. You might want to be careful. I think it is possible if you save something as a IVT file, you can, if I took this and if I was to overwrite the original file with saving it as an IVT file with the same name, then you will have a reduced table. The IVT file that you save will have gotten rid of all the geography elements that you're interested in, all the geography elements that you filtered out, rather. So that, I think I'll wrap that up as the Beyond 2020 summary. I don't know if there are any questions regarding how to use it, or if we're approaching sort of the end of the scheduled time, and then I suggested that we could stay on, and I'm happy to answer questions or to go through and see what questions came up in the list of expectations that people had with respect to the webinar and see what I can answer.
Mike, we are having some questions from Paul on the data that's available around COVID, but let's see if there's any specific questions on Beyond 2020, and then we'll have a little conversation about the data available around COVID-19.
Yeah, definitely. Were there any questions? Anything come up regarding Beyond 2020?
There's a question about the geographies, but hopefully that got covered. Jude would like another example using a filter.
Additional filters.
Using additional filters.
Maybe you can specify what you mean. So
Jude, go ahead and give
filtering.
If you want to ask something, ask
Sure.
Mike to do something very specific. That might be easier.
At education level. Okay, so if we could look at this table right now, it's not being filtered at all by educational attainment. It's just giving you the total, which is what you want if you want to essentially remove the education dimension, admission category, period of immigration from the table. You just put them up top and leave it at the total. But we could, let's take it down here so it's a little bit easier to read and see, say you're interested in, let's look at sort of the main workforce. We're still looking at Montreal. And you want to know, let's see, by university attainment, what's the unemployment rate, 25 to 64-year-olds, for those with a university degree compared to those with no certificate or diploma compared to high school. Take those and show those. Bring this down. I could take this and drop it. Let's drop it here to start and see if that is sort of intuitive to read. 25 to 64, this is easy enough. I don't actually need this in the table because I just have one variable in there. You could put this up top, which makes it a little bit easier to read. I guess you were asking about additional filters. If I brought it down, you could we could compare this to total population. A little smaller. You can see now for total population versus 25 to 64-year-olds, from this you could calculate the unemployment rate. That's just the unemployed population divided by the total labor force for varying levels of educational attainment. So you could do that here by setting up the table like this and exporting it. You could put this up here and copy the tables out one at a time as you filter back and forth between the age groups that you're interested in. Does that answer your question on adding additional filters to Beyond 2020? Can we select all the areas within a geographical area, such as all the records in Ontario? You can. It is not always easy to see how to do that, I'll confess. There I would probably just look for, I'm just going to search for Ontario just so I go to, let's reduce this. Brings me to Ontario. No problem, Jude. That works. So I found Ontario. It helps to click on it. So when I open the dimension back up again, select Show All, we're still on Ontario. And yeah, to be honest, if I wanted to select everything in Ontario, the way I might do that is simply, I would just scroll down until I hit Manitoba, Shift, and select everything. I'll show you that in 1 second. Or put this in Excel. I frequently do a lot of my manipulations in Excel because this isn't the easiest. It isn't always the easiest to work with. And you might want to export it with the unique identifiers. So this is showing you that province number 35. This is Census Division 3501, 3502, and all their census subdivisions in between. So then I would put that in Excel, and you can create a formula just to extract, the first two numbers from the left, which is and look for 35 at that point. But if you wanted to, I can, if I have Ontario highlighted, and then I go down the big one. So here's Manitoba, 46. So I would just hit Shift. I'm holding down Shift, and I click on the last one. Right-click, and then Show. And now it's showing me everything in Ontario. And you can export it like this, or we can change the dimension again. Just so you know what all these numbers are, so again, that's the unique identifier, 3501, 35. The next 5 digits are just a data quality indicator, and then the number in bracket, the percentage in bracket, is the global non-response rate, which gives an indication of how many households did not respond to the survey. And it's a bit of an index created from, because some households only answer part of it. Anyway, other tips, if you're looking for an entire area, you might want to, in this case, then just search for those with a geographic level of CSD, so that you only get the CSDs, and then export it. But you can always send us questions. Please feel free to, and I think that might have been mentioned before, that the program is working towards providing a more responsive service. This might be dangerous for me to say this onto a webinar with 90 people attending, but we are looking to engage with users, particularly our modest capacity users, more directly. You get your data questions and see what we can do to help you answer them, or in some cases, see what we can produce for you. We understand that some of you are going to have trouble with the catalog or with IVT tables, and we will try to help you to use it, but can also, if that is not an option, then we can find other ways we can see what we can do for you to answer your data question. That said, please do try it on your own. But yeah, also feel free to contact.
Yeah, and
so,
I did
sorry, you
add
want
some
to see the
resources into the chat box as well, and then there's some on the website. And so some of the times your questions, we can just direct you back to those resources again, because we know seeing it or hearing it once isn't enough usually. So let us know, and we can make sure you have that right resource in your hand. I don't have any questions particularly on the Beyond 2020 and the catalog right now. Mike, so the question around COVID-19 from Paul was looking at data around COVID-19. So I think I might have misled him. If you look at the data in our catalog, what we're talking about is that this is data that tracks vulnerable communities. So we are not providing data specifically on COVID-19 cases. That's not our wheelhouse. So Mike, did you want to talk a little bit about the data that is in the catalog and what we're expecting to come that can be used when you're looking at monitoring, particularly recovery of COVID-19?
Yeah. We started this list here looking at indicators that point to community vulnerability in the context of the COVID-19 pandemic and shutdown. This is a beginning list, so if you have other ideas of what could go into this list, we're more than happy to hear about it. As Mary said, we're not tracking cases or deaths, but we do in this portal point to other dashboards that are doing that. I can quickly go through this list and describe some of these describe some of these resources and maybe talk a little bit about some of them that are new. We exceptionally were able to get some employment insurance statistics from Statistics Canada at the census subdivision level, which we only got up to February 2020. We got monthly data up to February 2020, and shortly before they were going to publish the March data, they decided to suspend publication because many people are turning to the CERB, the Canadian Emergency Response Benefit, and they felt that the EI statistics were of limited use. So we are still pursuing getting these data from Statistics Canada. Hopefully we can get some administrative data regarding CERB uptake as well as employment insurance statistics to create, a bit of a, to get the whole picture on what is happening. And we're looking to get this at the census subdivision level. One quick note is that a lot of this comes from attached to postal codes, which for smaller geographies, there are some problems, converting postal code geography to census geography. The census geography, postal geography is not meant to line up with census geography, and in some cases, you're going to get an inaccurate conversion. So just even at any rate, just something to note. We have some indicators from the labor force survey, and with the April 2020 labor force survey release, they added some supplementary indicators which point to people that would typically be missed in the labor force survey as being unemployed, because you're only unemployed if you are looking for work. But of course, many people are not looking for work because they've been told by their employer to check back in several months, or they just know that there's nothing in their field. So some additional indicators were added. We have one of these indicators at the economic region and CMA level. We're looking to get the rest of the indicators at this level, and that's about as low as we can get at the labor force, the lowest geographic level that we can get for the labor force survey. Canadian Business Counts, this is a pretty good resource for tracking the number of businesses in your communities. It is an administrative data source, so not a survey, and it's fairly complete. It comes out twice a year. The lowest geography for labor force survey is economic region and census metropolitan area. And we have long sought labor force survey data at the census subdivision level. And we used to get it quite a while ago, but it's not, you can't really get it. You can't cherry pick the labor force survey for large municipalities that have sufficient sample sizes to give you non-suppressed data. The sampling rotates a little bit, so you can't really do that. But we are looking at getting labor force survey indicators at the census subdivision level, but that would be done using small area estimation techniques, so modeling. Yeah, we would love to see that too, Devin. But what we would likely get are annual estimates for labor force survey at the census subdivision, because it's going to have to be modeled, and it's not, meaning that it's going to prevent us from getting timely data on a monthly basis that would be helpful in context of measuring COVID-19 recovery. Unfortunately, yeah, I ask for it quite regularly. Statistics Canada knows that we have a critical mass of users who would like to see labor force survey at the census subdivision level, but it doesn't sound like that's happening anytime soon. But hopefully this modeling initiative will work out. So Canadian Business Council, as I said before, this is one that you can, it's cross-tabulated by the industry code using what's the NAICS NAICS classification and the employee number size. So you can check and see how small, medium, and large businesses are doing in your community. And right now you would have a December 2019 baseline, and then in August, the June 2020 data will come out. Expected come out. A lot of these things are being modified. There's no reason to think that this wouldn't come out, but a lot of things are changing at Statistics Canada, and if they feel that the data are compromised by the fact that they're being skewed as a result of pandemic shutdown, then they may adjust the data or delay them. We'll see. So the Canadian Community Health Survey currently, it's just 2015, 2016 data that are available now, but could point to populations at risk with cardiovascular risk. Thanks, Devin. Yeah, it's a very good data set. It's quite popular, gets a lot of downloads. If you want to use the Canadian Community Health Survey data, I would recommend that you check out the video. For you unfortunately have to, you get the public use microdata file, and you have to sort of build your own IVT table. And I posted a video on how to do that. If you have any questions about it, you can always contact us. Insolvency data, that's bankruptcies, and so there's personal and business bankruptcies. That's really just a link to the Industry Canada website. But those are monthly data, so that is timely, and you just have to request it, and it shows up in your inbox a few minutes later. But we will start doing that and compiling it as well. So we'll try to start doing that for our users as well, so they can download the data directly from our catalog. And then debt. Right now we have 2018 information on debt as well as credit and bankruptcy risk. We have 2019 data in hand, but it's still being processed. And if there's sufficient interest, then we will get 2020 data, which could well be the case, given that it will be interesting to see what happens to consumer debt across the country in the current context. And then we pointed to some demographic links here. So looking at seniors living alone, these are some tables that can point to that. Low-income population. We have a lot of tables on energy poverty. So we're just tying that into various types of poverty that and vulnerability that people might be experiencing now. So those are people that are paying a disproportionate amount on their energy bills compared to their income. Reliance on public transit, seeing what communities may need to be taking public transit more, which certainly puts some of these people at risk if they're having trouble getting to their jobs. Overcrowding, we have a number of tables on occupations classified by by industry or by occupation codes. And so, we've previously looked at people in the service industry. It's fairly clear from the occupation and industry codes what, and it's also written up on the StatsCan website in order to assess people with occupations that are more at risk or more likely to lose their job. I noticed as well there are people that are interested in workforce development. We also have a number of place of work tables that there is a place of work status as a dimension. So counts of people depending on whether they have a place that they go to for work or whether they work from home or if they don't have a usual place of work. But there's also a place of work geography, and it provides counts of people based on the respondent's place of work. So you can get profiles of the working population in certain areas. So we have the census profile available with a place of work geography, and there's a few other tables in the catalog that use place of work as a geography, which can be helpful in looking at your workforce development. I'm trying to think of what else I may have been asked here. Are there any other questions?
We don't have any other specific questions, which is good, Mike, because we're just about out of time. So I think at this point we're going to wrap up. Thank you very much, Mike. I think it's really helpful to see and just watch Mike moving that Beyond 2020 table around. Please don't be daunted by it. It's a powerful tool. It just does take some familiarity. As Mike said, please reach out to us if there is something that's causing you to stumble in the program or finding ways of efficiently getting into the catalog and finding your data. Please let us know. Often we can support you just by turning you in the right direction. We can make sure we have a resource for you. And, likely if you're experiencing it, so is somebody else. So we can definitely make a point to create some resources and answer those questions for you. So thank you very much. Thank you to all of you. Hopefully you'll be able to get into the catalog sometime this week and download a table and have a look at it. So thank you very much. Stay safe and stay well, everybody. Oh, Mike?
Just another.
Go ahead, Mike.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, go ahead. Nothing. No, just again, it was just one final note for encouraging people to send us their questions, is because we do keep track of everyone's questions, and it helps to build up our knowledge base answering your questions. So if you have a question for Statistics Canada, we prefer that you send it to us, and then we will pass it on to Statistics Canada. That way, we know what our members are asking, and we get those answers to be able to build up our knowledge base to be able to answer the questions faster for you.
Absolutely.
Sorry, that was my last little spiel.
Okay, thanks everybody. You can access the recording of this on our webpage under that webinar link on the resources if you want to come and check back on anything that we covered today. So thanks everybody, and we'll talk to you soon.